There's a story about a master carpenter who spent 30 years building perfect houses by following strict blueprints. He knew every rule, every technique, every so-called right way to do it. One day, a complete beginner showed up. No plans, no formal training, just a wild idea. Instead of sticking to the blueprints, the beginner built a crazy, beautiful treehouse that somehow stood strong. The master couldn't understand it, but the truth was simple. He wasn't bad at building. He was trapped inside a mental box that told him what was possible and what wasn't. Now here's the crazy part. What if you're doing the exact same thing, but with your entire life? Since you were a kid, you've been handed invisible blueprints for reality. What to believe, what's possible, how far you're allowed to dream. You didn't choose these rules. They were installed through mental programming you never even noticed. And now, without realizing it, you might be building a life inside someone else's limitations. But here's the secret most people never discover. The blueprints aren't real. The rules aren't real. Reality itself isn't what you think it is. If you've ever felt deep down that life should be bigger, freer, more magical, you were right. Stick with me, and I'll show you exactly where the cracks are hiding and how to break free. 1. You were taught to live inside a mental cage. From the very beginning, most people are handed a script they didn't write. They're told what's real, what's possible, and what's impossible without ever questioning it. It's like being born into a game where no one told you the rules were made up. This illusion of reality becomes so normal that few ever stop to wonder if there's more hiding behind the curtain. Mental programming starts early, and without realizing it, you're trained to limit your own power. Imagine a kid who dreams of building a flying machine. At first, he believes it's totally possible, but as adults laugh and say, "That's just not how the world works," the dream gets crushed under layers of doubt. This is how the cage is built. One comment, one judgment, one rule at a time. The child grows up thinking inside a box they never even chose. Perception control starts with these subtle but powerful moments. If you stop for a second and look back at your own life, you'll probably find dozens of dreams you abandoned without even questioning why. Maybe it was learning an instrument, starting a business, or moving to a new country. The reasons you gave yourself might have sounded logical, but most of the time they were just echoes of someone else's mental programming. It's sneaky like that. And here's the kicker. The cage isn't made of steel. It's made of ideas. It's flexible, invisible, and it adapts to your beliefs. The more you believe in its walls, the more real they become. But if you start pulling at the edges, questioning even one brick, you'll notice something strange. The whole thing can start falling apart faster than you ever thought possible. 2. Your brain filters reality before you even see it. Your brain isn't showing you life as it truly is. It's showing you a version that's been heavily edited by old mental programming. It's like wearing sunglasses that change the colors of everything around you without even realizing you have them on. What you believe, expect, and focus on controls what gets through your filter. This is where the illusion of reality becomes almost impossible to notice because you're so used to it. You're not reacting to life. You're reacting to what your mind allows you to see. Think about the last time you searched for something obvious, like your keys or your glasses, and they were right in front of you the whole time. It wasn't just a mistake. It was inattentional blindness. Your perception control system decided the object wasn't important enough to notice at that moment. Now, apply that to the bigger things. Opportunities, breakthroughs, connection. How much have you missed not because they weren't there, but because your brain simply didn't let you see them? It's wild to realize that your mind builds a fake version of the world based on what it's comfortable with. If you expect people to betray you, you'll unconsciously look for signs that prove it. If you expect life to be hard, you'll ignore every example of it being easy. This is not just psychology, it's survival wiring trying to keep you from changing. But in today's world, that survival instinct isn't protecting you anymore. It's trapping you in a life that's way smaller than it needs to be. And here's a practical thing you can do. Start disrupting your filter. Walk into a familiar place and intentionally notice what you usually ignore. The textures on the wall, the sounds in the background, the colors you never focus on. Training yourself to see beyond the autopilot perception slowly cracks the illusion. Awakening begins not with massive revelations, but with tiny cracks of awareness you let yourself notice each day. That's how you start reclaiming your true vision. 3. The illusion is strengthened by focus and habit. Your focus is like a magnifying glass. It doesn't just observe reality, it shapes it. Whatever you constantly focus on gets amplified in your life, whether it's problems, fears, or possibilities. Most people don't realize how their daily habits of thought reinforce the illusion of reality they live inside. If your mind is always scanning for what's wrong, you'll keep finding it everywhere you go. Focus isn't passive. It's the engine behind perception control, constantly steering what you think is real. Imagine someone who's always thinking about scarcity. Everywhere they look, they see lack, empty wallets, missed opportunities, closed doors. But if you shift your focus even a little toward abundance, your world starts changing. It's not magic, it's the way mental programming directs your attention. Your brain is so obedient that if you feed it the right focus consistently, it will begin searching for proof that backs it up. That's how reality quietly bends to match your dominant focus. The illusion tightens its grip through repetition. Day after day, seeing the same things, reacting the same way, believing the same story about yourself and the world. It's like playing the same song on repeat until you forget other music even exists. Most people aren't stuck because life is against them. They're stuck because their focus is chained to an old, worn-out pattern. Breaking it doesn't mean making huge leaps right away. It means catching yourself when your mind slides back into the old grooves. Here's something practical. Pick one thing you usually complain about and flip it. If you're always saying nothing good ever happens, start writing down one good thing every day, no matter how small. Train your mind to notice what it usually ignores. It'll feel fake at first, like you're lying to yourself, but stay with it. Awakening doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you take the steering wheel back from the lazy habits that have been driving your life in circles. 4. Society programs what you're allowed to perceive. From the moment you could walk and talk, society started writing on the blank slate of your mind. School taught you facts, but also taught you limits. What's realistic, what's normal, and what's possible. The media painted pictures of success, failure, love, and danger that shaped your unconscious expectations. This wasn't some grand conspiracy, it's just the way mental programming spreads. The illusion of reality gets passed down like a family heirloom, and hardly anyone stops to ask if it's worth keeping. Picture a child who believes they can become an astronaut, an inventor, or an artist. At first, the dream burns bright. But little by little, comments like, "be realistic," or "that's not practical," chip away at it. Society doesn't need to build walls to trap people. It simply convinces them to build the walls themselves. Over time, the once limitless mind becomes boxed into a small corner of acceptable dreams. Perception control ensures that anything too big, too different, too magical seems foolish. Most people don't realize how deep this programming runs. Even when adults rebel against rules, they often end up following a different set of rules without realizing it. They think they're making independent choices, but really they're picking from options they were handed a long time ago. Awakening means seeing that most of the choices you think you have are just slightly different flavors of the same illusion. True freedom begins when you realize you don't have to pick from the menu you were given. Want to start shaking up this system? Do something wildly different, something society wouldn't expect from you. Take a painting class, even if you think you're terrible at art. Spend a day with zero plans and see where intuition takes you. Read books that challenge your views, like The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer or The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. New experiences rattle the old programming and create cracks in the walls society built around you. And through those cracks, the real light starts pouring in. 5. Your mind defends the illusion at all costs. The mind is a master of self-preservation. Once it builds a version of reality, it clings to it like a lifeboat, even if the boat is full of holes. Anytime something threatens the illusion, your mind reacts as if it's a real danger. It's not about logic or facts, it's about survival. This is why you can show someone undeniable proof that challenges their beliefs, and they'll still reject it. Mental programming runs deeper than conscious thought. It protects the fragile structure your identity depends on. Think about the last time someone gave you feedback that stung. Maybe they said you weren't as patient, kind, or smart as you thought. Instantly, your mind probably fired off defenses. They're wrong. They don't understand me. That's not true. It's automatic. This is perception control in action. The mind isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect the illusion you live inside. Unfortunately, that protection often locks you out of growth, opportunity, and a deeper awakening to who you really are. It's wild, but your mind would rather defend a painful, limiting belief than step into the unknown. Even when life clearly shows you a better way, you'll feel resistance, fear, doubt. It's the old mental programming throwing up walls to keep you from changing. Recognizing this isn't about judging yourself. It's about understanding that this resistance is a signal. When you feel discomfort around new ideas, it usually means you're bumping up against the edges of the illusion of reality. Here's something you can try. When you feel that knee-jerk reaction to reject something new, pause. Don't argue with it. Don't even try to accept it. Just sit with it. Let the discomfort bubble without pushing it away. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. This little practice can open tiny doors your mind has been slamming shut for years. Awakening isn't always about big, dramatic moments. Sometimes it's about sitting quietly with the fear of change until it no longer has power over you. 6. Your memories are unreliable and your past is fluid. Most people trust their memories like they trust the ground beneath their feet. But here's the truth. Memories are some of the biggest liars you'll ever meet. Every time you recall a memory, your brain rewrites it slightly, blending in new emotions, assumptions, and expectations. Over time, the story you tell yourself about your past drifts farther and farther from what actually happened. This is not just forgetfulness. It's a core part of the illusion of reality that keeps you stuck in a version of yourself that may not even be real. Imagine thinking back to a childhood moment when you failed at something important. At the time, maybe it wasn't even a big deal. But years of replaying that memory, layering it with shame or regret, could turn it into a defining story. I'm not good enough. Mental programming loves to use these distorted memories as evidence to keep you small. If you're not careful, you'll build an entire identity on half-truths your mind has been editing for years without your permission. Think about how different your life would look if you realized that the facts about yourself you cling to might not be facts at all. Maybe you're not actually bad at relationships, or terrible with money, or unlucky. Maybe you just accepted a memory your brain twisted to fit an old script. Perception control doesn't stop at the outside world. It dives deep into your inner world too, warping the very foundation you use to make decisions and shape your future. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Write down a memory that has defined you in some way. Then challenge it. Ask yourself, is this the full story? What else could have been true? Maybe you weren't stupid. You were inexperienced. Maybe you weren't rejected. You were being redirected. Awakening begins when you stop letting a faulty memory system dictate your future. When you realize your past is fluid, you start to see how much power you actually have to create a new reality. 7. Most people are stuck in a reality they didn't choose. Most people wake up every morning, brush their teeth, go to work, and follow the same tired routine, never realizing they're living inside a script they didn't even write. They think they're making choices, but really, they're running programs that were installed years ago through mental programming. This illusion of reality feels so normal that breaking free from it seems almost impossible. Yet, if you look closely, you'll see the patterns, repeating the same mistakes, chasing the same dreams, getting the same results. Imagine someone who always dates the same type of toxic partner, or someone who keeps quitting jobs for the same reason. It's not bad luck, it's mental programming on autopilot. Perception control keeps recycling old beliefs, keeping them trapped in a loop. They might swear up and down they want change, but deep inside, their brain is busy deleting any possibility that doesn't fit the old pattern. Reality feels like fate, when really it's just unchallenged habit. And let's be honest, staying in the same loop is comfortable in a strange way. Familiar struggles are less scary than unfamiliar successes. Even misery feels better than uncertainty to a brain wired for predictability. Awakening doesn't happen because someone suddenly gets lucky. It happens when a person wakes up and realizes they're replaying an old story that no longer serves them. Once you see the pattern, you can start rewriting it one conscious choice at a time. Here's a practical step. Start questioning your autopilot reaction. Why do you get defensive when someone critiques you? Why do you immediately say no to opportunities that scare you? When you catch yourself repeating the same story, don't beat yourself up. Get curious. That curiosity cracks the walls of the illusion of reality wide open. Awareness is the first blow against the prison you never even knew you were living in. 8. You can break the illusion and control reality. Breaking the illusion of reality doesn't require some mystical ceremony or life-shattering moment. It starts small, almost invisibly. It begins the moment you dare to question the things you've always accepted without blinking. Mental programming weakens the second you stop running on autopilot and start asking simple but powerful questions like, is this belief even mine? Or, what if the opposite were true? That's when perception control starts to loosen its grip on your mind. Imagine you're driving a car, but someone else secretly programmed the GPS. No matter how hard you press the gas, you're still stuck on a route you didn't choose. Awakening happens when you realize you can turn off that old GPS. You can start making turns that feel right, even if they're unfamiliar. Breaking the illusion isn't about fighting the system. It's about stepping out of it, even if at first it feels like walking into the unknown without a map. Controlling your reality doesn't mean manipulating the outside world like a puppet master. It means shifting your inner world so powerfully that the outer world can't help but respond. Focus, attention, and belief are the real tools of transformation. If you focus on abundance, opportunities start appearing. If you focus on healing, paths to healing begin unfolding. The world mirrors the internal filter you choose to activate. It always has. It just waited for you to notice. Here's something you can practice right now. For the next week, every time you catch yourself assuming something is impossible, stop and ask, what if it's not? Simple, gentle, no drama. Little by little, you'll tear open cracks in the illusion of reality. And one day you'll look back and realize the cage was never locked. The door was always open. You just had to believe you could walk through it.